too much dependent on the automation, and we need to get back to basic flying skills, even for guys who have thousands and thousands of hours of experience. So where's my settings here? Hang on. There we are. So, beautiful, beautiful livery here. Nice. I do like this aircraft. Very nice. So I've already programmed everything into the MCUs. That way, that makes the whole process a lot quicker. And so for the, I've already, hang on, that's not V1 cut, it should be VR cut. Hold on. So we'll take engine 1 VR cut. So at VR, the engine 1 will fail on us. Alright. And the present weight is 350 tons. 350 tons. Yeah, I'll just change the banner quickly. So, Brandon, he says, and show please the load level in the loading chart. What do you mean exactly, Brandon? The loading chart? Murmur says that I've heard in the latest continuous qualified training round the loft day involves automation failures, hold the FO is pilot flying. Way to evaluate the basic proficiency. Yeah, I'm glad that airlines worldwide, hopefully everywhere, you know, doing those simulated missions and improving or concentrating on basic flying skills. It is so important. We enter the weights. So payload. And the load level 54.7%. So we have fuel 144,000 kilograms for the trip to Hong Kong. I planned. I'm not going to fly there because it's going to take about 10.5 hours. We'll be here until tomorrow morning. No, Brennelt, but the weight. We are at max takeoff weight. Have a look. The maximum takeoff weight is 352 and the gross weight is 350 tons. So we are pretty much at maximum takeoff weight. Yeah, the thing is, I don't have a performance calculation tool for the 777. So in order to be able to take off with this weight, 350 tons, we would have to check that the conditions are such that we can actually clear all the obstacles which are in our engine out flight path with the given climb rate that we can, you know, lift off and climb at this weight. So it should work. Conditions aren't too bad. Let me just check the weather at the moment. So we are on runway 29, so the wind a little bit from the left, 11 knots, not too bad, so that should be a problem. 8 degrees. And 1008. So I'm gonna set that 1008. Okay, you need to use the beta version. Okay, yeah, I've already installed the proper. Yeah, Brenold, you have to make sure that you stay within your limits. I mean, the 352 tons is, I'm pretty sure, is the structural limit. So you cannot put 100% load level regarding passengers and cargo, and then add the maximum fuel level. That's just way above the maximum structural takeoff weight. So that's why it wouldn't work to take off. Adjunct, we'll be flying at V2 hopefully, and try to use. Oh yeah, another thing. The 777 has a neat feature, because somebody was asking about auto trim. I think it was for the 747. I mean, the 747 doesn't have auto trim, and however, the 777 has a neat feature, and it is called the TAC. It's a thrust asymmetry compensation. That's what it's called. So TAC. There's this thing here, TAC. It's an auto, and so what that does, it doesn't use the yaw of the aircraft, so no yaw detection. It just detects if the N1 between the two engines differ by a certain amount. And so once that is the case, the TAC takes over and trims automatically the rudder, and we'll see that once we have the engine failure. Yep, that's what the FMS has calculated. So V2 is 194 tons. V1 we are. Oh yeah, and after this exercise, once I've hopefully successfully landed, then we'll do an RTO at max takeoff weight, which should be interesting as well. Yeah, so the strategy is as follows. So we'll climb out in case of engine failure. We'll climb out straight ahead. We'll do the acceleration in round about 2,100 feet, the cleanup, and then we'll climb to, let's say, 4,000 feet. 4,000 feet to get above the sector altitude of 3,300 feet. Oh, actually, no, we need to climb to 5,000. 5,000 is the initial altitude for the ILS 16. Because of that wind, we're going to have to ILS 16. Runway length 3,600 meters, that is fine. Well, I'm sure that the tire speed for the 777 will be higher than 195. Right, are you guys ready? Switched on all the lights. Yeah. So let's get this beauty in the air. I hope this works. Oh, here comes the sound. Nice. So takeoff thrust is set, and it's maximum takeoff thrust. Otherwise, you won't get this bird up in the air. Nice. Bloody hell, 177 V1. That is just so far up there. V1. Oh, there goes the engine. Full right rudder. VR. And lifting off, positive rate of climb, gear up. And you'll notice now that the trim, see that? Automatically trimmed completely to the right. So I can let go of the rudder now. Not completely, but almost. So the engine left has failed. Ooh. Just barely managing to climb. So the triangle here is pretty much centered, giving us the indication that we have pretty much nailed the correct yaw input or compensation. Pitch is a little bit too high, we're getting a little bit slow, have to correct that. Right, so the items for engine failure: auto thrust, left confirmed, off. Then we have the thrust lever 1 confirmed, idle. Just have to make sure we don't get too slow here. And then engine 1, fuel cutoff switch, cutoff. 1 is confirmed, cutoff, and engine fire switch 1, pull. So those were the items, trying to still remain V2. Now we're reaching the acceleration height. So we're going to start to level off for now. I could use the autopilot, which I'm going to do now. Press altitude hold. Heading hold. Now for some reason the PMDG does reduce the thrust if I leave the auto thrust engaged. So I've just deactivated it for a short while so that the auto thrust doesn't pull out the thrust, which would be pretty much deadly now. So now that we have about 1500 feet above ground, we are starting the acceleration phase. We have to clean up the aircraft. So flaps 1. So we're reaching the clean speed. I'm going to select the auto thrust again, flight level change. So we're going to maintain that speed and we're going to climb up to 5,000 feet. Now you've seen that we're also reducing the thrust to maximum continuous thrust because we're only allowed to use toga power, the maximum power, for 10 minutes in case of engine out. And so now we've reduced from maximum power back to continuous power. Yeah, Brenold, but it can be even lower, Brenold. I don't know why that magenta line was moving around. Probably just a little bit of a glitch for the simulator. So we're going to concentrate on flying just for now. So yeah, pretty low. And so once everything's stable above the minimum sector altitude, now we'll try to, or we'll get to the checklist. And this is a nice feature in the 777 with the non-normal checklist. So we have engine fail left, condition engine speed is below idle, objective restart the engine if needed, or to configure for single engine operation. So thrust is lost on both engines? No. So go to page 2. A restart may be attempted if there is N1 rotation. Well, there isn't. No N1 rotation, so we'll forget that. Restart needed? No. Next page. Nothing to do here, nothing to do here. And so inhibited checklist, auto throttle left. So we won't do that checklist. Both engines run normally? Nope. APU selector, start, then on. Start, then on. Transponder mode selected, TA only. We know that from our A320 operations. Now plan to land at nearest suitable airport. Okay, we'll do a quick return to Vienna. Now land using flaps 20. I'm gonna click no for now. I'll tell you why. Because we have an overweight landing checklist. We'll get through in a minute. So no. Landing using flaps 30 if performance allows. We'll try it. And that's checklist completed. Right, so many questions. No, what we'll do, it's a demonstration. So what we'll do is we're gonna land with an overweight landing. So we said we will fly an ILS 16. So we'll do that. And so we'll fly Whiskey Whiskey 671, and the inbound course should be 340, the opposite course 340, execute. Alright. So the ILS is selected, 5,000 feet is the initial altitude, and what we'll do now is look at the overweight landing checklist. So it's an unenunciated checklist, overweight landing, and there it says condition: the landing at greater than the maximum landing weight is needed. Yes. So we would have to look performance-wise whether or not we can fulfill the performance landing climb limit, which we are. Landing gross weight is greater than the landing climb limit, or one engine is inoperative. So one engine is inoperative. We'll click yes. Ground proximity flap override switch override, and that is this switch here. Override. Note: use flaps 20 and VREF 20 for landing and 5 for go around. We've entered that. VREF 30 plus additives, wind gusts 5 knots minimum, is above 170 knots. Yes, that is the case. Then it says use flaps 25 and VREF 25 for landing. Okay, that's what I was thinking about. Okay, so flaps 25. I knew this would be in a checklist somewhere. So flaps 25 is our landing speed now. Flaps 25. This provides greater margin to the flap placard speed. That makes sense. Checklist is completed. Alright, so there's the ILS. So we'll try to establish ourselves onto the ILS now. Gonna cancel engine left shutdown. APU is running, and so we'll return. So apart from the descent checklist, recall is checked, nodes checked, auto brakes. So auto brakes will select 3. Landing data, we have the VREF 184, flaps 25, and the minimum is 800. So 800 is our minimum, is set. And approach briefing, alright, we'll fly the ILS. No brainer. We have 3,600 meters landing distance. That is fine. Auto brake 3 is good enough, yeah. So 5,000 feet, the approach will start. Inbound course is 160. There's the localizer already. So 160, that is confirmed. Then 3-degree glide path, 1890 at 4 DME. And the minimum is 800 feet. Now the missed approach, it says straight ahead 10 miles from the ILS and then direct to Fisherman and climb 5,000. We would tell ATC because of engine failure we would have to do a different procedure, which has been checked according to our books. So we climb straight ahead, accelerate again at about 2,200 feet, clean up, and then we'll climb up 5,000. And once we are above 3,000 feet, we'll accept radar vectors back for the approach. So I'm going to start to configure the aircraft now. Flaps are 1. So approach briefing is completed. Descent checklist also. The approach checklist altimeters, we have 1008 at 5,000. That is checked. And so we only need the landing, the landing checklist in a second. Here we go. Right. Ooh, it is fighting. Flaps going 5. Need to slow down a little bit further now. So over there somewhere is the airport. And correct, Reynolds, we will arm the approach mode. So localizer is active. Yeah, land tricks. True, I don't know when the last stream was that didn't have an engine failure. You are correct. So here comes the glide. How come we have 38 knots tailwind? That can't be right. Didn't it say we had like, yeah, 210 at 10. So we'll see how that goes. So gear is coming down. So at the moment the wind is gonna have to turn to the front just a little bit. Alright, flaps 15. Manual flight here. Don't know why I'm commanding speed like way below and the auto thrust just keeps setting 70% power. Here we go. So flaps 25 was to be used.
2500.
For landing. So one more setting to go. 2500 is checked. And flaps now 25. Final setting. So power will be around 75%. So the landing checklist. Why didn't it set flaps 25? Now it's flaps 25. Whoops. And the speed brake has to be armed, so landing checklist is completed. A bit low, have to correct here now. So very high approach speed. I mean, wow. 187, 188 knots. 1000 is checked. So now the wind has actually changed. It has actually turned towards the front like reported, so all is good. Now one thing we would have to watch out for, because we are almost at takeoff weight, the landing rate shouldn't be higher than 360 feet per minute. Otherwise a special maintenance check would have to be done. We'll try. We'll see how it goes. Oh, runways inside. So obviously very high descent rate because we have very high ground speeds. So almost 1,000 feet a minute is required.
50, 40, 30, 20,
Oh.
10.
Not too bad, not too bad. So we should have been alright. Reverser coming. 150 knots still. 130 knots. Yeah, we should be alright. So reverse going idle. Manual brakes.
Autopilot. Autopilot.
That Dutch comrade, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to the stream. So made it back safely